Hi campers, welcome back to day 3 of Camp Create National Park. Today we're taking our adventure outside to go on a texture trek. We are blessed to have a lot of trees on our property, so I found this really cool piece of bark that has awesome texture on the front and even the back. Let's see if we can find a leaf. We have this really cool grapevine in the back of our property, so I'm going to take one of these leaves and just double check it to make sure I'm not bringing any friends, aka bugs, inside with me. I've got my leaf, so let's head back inside to Camp Create headquarters and make some art. Now that we're back from our outdoor texture trek, let's talk about some indoor textures. I have a Lego. A coin makes an excellent texture. Can you see that? It's just a nickel. The top of a fork, really cool texture. Even a piece of cardboard. So now that we have our textures, let's talk about what we'll need to make our project. In the camp packet, you got your texture grid. If you don't have this yet, head over to JenCrowlTheArtGal.com and download it now. And of course, you'll need your poster to add your badge for day 3. The last thing we'll need for today's project is a crayon. You can see the wrapper is off this one, so you have an old crayon that's broken. It's a perfect candidate. Just take the wrapper off so we can turn the crayon on its side and use it to rub our textures. Before we jump into today's project, our verse for today is Psalm 139:14, and it says, "I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well." So as we jump into making our textures, think about how God made each of these things and how he also made you. Perfect, just as you are. Today's project is more about the process than the product. So like I said, we're gonna use our crayon and make our textures using these boxes, and then we're gonna pick our favorites and turn it into a pattern. So you can do 3 textures and 3 patterns, or 5 textures and 1 pattern, whatever you decide. We're just gonna play around. So first, I'm gonna start with my outdoor textures, and I'm gonna take my leaf, and you can see on the back, it has all these cool veins. They're not as prominent on the front, but on the back you can feel them. So that's the side I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna put that under my paper, under my first square, and take my crayon, and I'm gonna rub it back and forth kind of slowly. And as you can see, it reveals the texture of my leaf. So I wanna make sure I hold my paper very still. Oh, I broke my crayon. I wanna make sure I hold my paper still so that it doesn't shift the leaf underneath and mess up my texture. Some of these are gonna be a little harder than the others just because it's not a flat object, but I'm gonna try my tree bark, and I'm gonna use the back side. So let's see how that goes. This one is a little trickier because it's not flat, but if I just go slow and take my time, I can get a really cool texture rubbing. Look at that. Okay, let's move on to our indoor textures. I have this piece of Lego brick. I'm gonna stick it under my paper, and I'm just gonna go over each part of it. Oh, that's really cool. I really like that. You can almost just make out where it says Lego. You can see it's trying to pick up the letters. Can you see it says Lego on there? Not really. It's on there. Let's do our cardboard. So you can see part of the paper is ripped off to reveal the corrugation underneath, but part of it is not. And I'm gonna leave it like that and see how it looks. So under my paper, ooh, that's fun. I like that. Okay, I have 1 square left, and I still have my fork and my coin. So I'm gonna do both of them in the same square. So I'm gonna do my coin down here in the corner. Oh, look, you can see the little building that's on the back of the coin. That's fun. Okay, let's try the fork. The fork's gonna be a little trickier because it's gonna be hard to hold it still, but I'm gonna do my best. Just gonna go one direction. Ooh, it's turning. Let's try. Okay. Not great, but you can see it has the lines of the top of the fork. So now we can turn our textures into a pattern. So let's start with this one. When you break it down, it's just short little rectangles. So let's try that. Oh yeah, that looks similar for sure. Now let's look at this one. This one is just a series of little dots and lines. So let's try that. I'm not gonna make it the same. Just gonna do little dots and lines kind of sporadically all over my paper to kind of mimic the texture from my tree bark. Your tree bark probably looks different than mine, so your pattern's gonna look a little bit different, but you get the idea. Oh, I really like that. That could be, you could turn that into a pine cone. That could be a lot of different things. Let's look at our cardboard texture. It's kind of thick lines with maybe little broken spots from where our cardboard was still covered. So kind of imitating that in my pattern. Definitely a similar vibe. Let's look at our leaf. Our leaf, I'm gonna focus mostly on the veins. So they're not gonna be as thin because I'm using a crayon, but I can start with my one big line and then kind of draw some lines off of it. And that gives a similar vibe as the leaf. So now the fun part with today's project is you get to hold on to this and keep this in your brain. And when we come back on Friday for our final showcase, you can use one of your textures and patterns to add into your final art piece. So this, like I said, could be turned into a pine cone, or this could be simplified to be made into a river. And this could maybe be a path or a road. So you have to think about what you want to turn your patterns and textures into for our showcase on day 5. Thank you for joining me on today's texture trek. I hope you enjoyed making some process art, and I can't wait to see what you turn it into later this week. I'll see you tomorrow for our map maker mission. Hanky is snoring, and that's his sister Toot back there. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.